meeting. I'm just getting our agenda up. Here it comes. First, always on the agenda. Well, first of all, happy holiday season. I hope you a little plan to. I appreciate all your effort and our commitment, and thank you for wearing your cowboy boots and all the joie de vivre of our committee. Welcome, Christine Flynn, our new town planner. We're thrilled. Woohoo! We're so happy you're here.
We're very excited to be here, so thank you.
Welcome, Mary, our new committee member. Welcome, welcome. Glad to have everybody aboard. Hello to Caleb over there, who's helping us make the ships run.
Pay no attention to the man behind the screen.
Right, exactly. Keeps the trains running on time. We so appreciate him. Sharon will be joining us shortly. I think she's in Orleans at actually their planning version. So first order of business. We don't have any, it doesn't look like we have anybody virtually. We'll keep our eyes peeled for that, whether we need to then do our roll call appropriately. But we can review and approve the minutes from November 7th.
Move approval.
Thank you, Barbara,
Second.
for sending them. Any discussion? No. Okay. All in favor, and we can take this by voice since there's nobody on the go-to meeting. All in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
Any dissenters? Okay. So with Bill, our new planner is here, I thought we would take a moment, go around, introduce ourselves.
Where do you want to start?
Go ahead, Margo.
We met online a few days ago.
Can tell, a 30-second soundbite about who you are and why you're on the committee, whatever.
Ed McManus, and we went and met in the doorway this morning.
Tell us, Margo, though, a little bit about it. It's good because Mary's new and,
Okay. I was a professional planner myself and worked at the Cape Cod Commission for many, many years and am retired now and very interested in seeing the town have a good plan. So I signed up.
Great.
And I'm Ed McManus, and I'm a former selectman of 15 years here, and school board member and council member in California for many years with a degree in community planning, which I never actually used professionally, but it was fun to get anyway.
Great.
I'm Brian Sheld. We haven't met before, but we've met now.
Yes.
I have been a permanent resident of East Harwich since 2016, but a vacationer to Harwich Port since 1980, so a long-time member of the community. My in-laws have lived here since 1980. I've got a great deal of passion for Harwich, a founder of the Harwich Fund, which has a purpose of giving back to the community. From a profession, I'm a retired IBM executive with 25 years of running a practice, management consulting practice, which for the most part did strategic alignment, aligning business strategy to implementation. What else can I say? That's probably enough, but and I try to wear cowboy boots whenever I can. Just to boost the sense of
Mix it
humor.
up.
I'm part of the humor of the crowd.
Garrett Curran, very nice to meet you. I've been in Harwich since 2019. My wife and I live right down the road on Bank Street, and got 2 young kids, and I wanted to get involved because I think this town's pretty great, and we can do some cool things, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
we get to chat a little on the phone. I'm Joyce McIntyre. I found myself the chair of this committee, which has been really fun. It's a wonderful group. So I've been telling you on the phone, I'm a local kid, grew up in Harwich, went to Harwich High School, live in town with my husband and son. My son is a second grader at the elementary school. Have part of my practice here in Dennis and then part of it in Worcester. So it's been really fun to participate in the community of all ages, which is really nice. So it's a great town.
Hi, I'm Jim Nickman. I've owned a house here since 1978, but in 2020, when I retired, a couple years after you, I started to spend much more time here. I spent a lot of my career as a professor at NYU and a lot of places, and my field is healthcare and economics of healthcare, and so I've followed a lot of that sort of thing. I actually spent 1 year working for Mayor Koch, so I worked at the government level at a very different way that this one is. And since I've been here most of the time, I've become head. They call it president. I don't know why they call it the president of the Friends of the Harwich Council on Aging. It seems like I don't feel very presidential.
Is there a
But anyway,
badge?
I know.
A
and,
medal? Yes.
Anyway, so I've had a long-term interest in older adults, and a lot of the research I've done is about the challenges of healthcare and other things for older adults.
Great, thank you. For sharing that.
Hi, I'm David Spitz. Like Margot, I've been a professional planner over 30 years in Vermont and 7 years here in Harwich. I've been retired since 2016, have been on a few different boards and committees. I'm having the fun of raising a 7-year-old who's a classmate of Joyce's.
Super fun.
So, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well, thank you.
Hi, Christine. I'm Bernadette Waystack. I'm a 38-year resident here, full-time. Former educator in the Harwich and Monomoy school systems. I recently retired a couple of years ago. Member of the Board of the Library Trustees, chair of the Cultural Council, and I have a full-time studio practice over in the 204 Cultural Building.
Oh, okay, great. I was just there this past weekend. It's
Oh,
a
good.
wonderful
Yeah.
facility. by
Yeah,
the
it
way.
was hopping.
Yeah.
Hi, Barbara Nickerson, formerly an environmental scientist in the real world. I've been here 7 years, somewhere in there, but obviously with Nickerson, my husband's 300 years plus in this town. So I didn't have any choice but to come back here for retirement.
All right,
So
great.
excited about what we're doing here. Harwich is, we got a lot of growing pains, got a lot of things to tend to, but bright future, bright future.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Hi, Mary Jones. My husband's family doesn't go back 300 years, but yes, it was, my husband's family has been here for quite a number of years. He and I would vacation, do our summers here. It's always our plan when we retired to come home. So we have done that. We retired, came up here from Florida, and I have 25 years plus in municipal government, and especially in the technology side of it, and also prior to that within development companies, as far as just dealing with that. And I just wanted, paths led me to here, and I just attended a couple of these meetings and just really liked the direction of the committee and where they were going, and there was an opening. And so I said, I'll try and see if I can get in and help a bit.
Wonderful.
So Mary's filling Jeff Handler's seat, which was created when he was elected to the Board of Selectmen. And then Pete Gorey is our other member who often, he's running he's also a local kid, a little older than I am. I'm happy to say that. Also went to Harwich High School. I didn't poke him with that. Yeah, and Jeff's older, but he has worked actually in a planning capacity in the city of Boston for a long time. Recently, with he and his some partners, bought a business in Orleans, and sometimes he'll maybe come on for us as he's from his desk there to participate virtually. He's not on yet, but sometimes he does. It's a way for him to participate. He lives on Sisson Road. So with that,
Well, thank you all.
yes, please go ahead. No, go ahead.
Thank you very much. As some of you may know, I worked with the Martha's Vineyard Commission for over 24 years, and so I'm really excited to be here. I did economic development and affordable housing planning at my time at the commission, and so I'm very excited to be in the town of Harwich. There are a lot of great planning projects going on with the LCP, as well as the open space and recreation plan and the housing production plan. So I'm learning a lot, and I'm very excited to be here, and I look forward to working with all of you. So thank you.
We're thrilled to have you. Just looking at the agenda, where we're headed, we have the time before we get, before Sharon comes and things like that, in terms of going through the visioning statements and some of the workshop themes. Tell us a little bit, if you, just informally, conversationally, sort of, your thoughts, your kind of, you've done LCPs in the past, like kind of
We've
where
assisted
where
several
where you're
towns.
at in your,
I think
merge minds, if we can merge our minds a little bit, yeah.
Sure. I think from what I've read so far, you guys are in a really great position, and it seems like you're in a good pathway forward with starting with the survey and launching that as well. And I think a lot of the questions within the survey, I think will help inform this committee when you get into writing the plan and overseeing the plan. But also, I think it touched on a lot of the competing land use issues that tend to bump up against each other when we talk about community character, preserving our natural resources, and obviously, but addressing some of the economic challenges given Harwich as a season, both a year-round and the seasonality of Harwich as well, and in addition to housing. Both affordable housing, workforce housing, however you may want to define that.
Right.
Because it's a big, there's a huge need in terms of, depending on age demographics for elder housing, but also for workforce housing and also just for affordable housing, where there are the income limits that are for people who aren't making a certain amount of, a certain threshold. So, but I feel that so far, it's been impressive to see the work that's been put into the plan. So I'm really excited to help out in any way I can.
Cool, thank you. And, I think one of the hallmarks of the committee that we've tried to uphold in the last, year and a half and really is, we speak candidly, we have developed a rapport. It's been fun. I guess it was cowboy boot night. We didn't we didn't post that, but so I hope we hope to extend that to you as well. But in terms of this, I mean, certainly official town business, but we're here as humans too, and residents of the town, and we're delighted you're here and really excited to have you here.
Well, I really appreciate that, and I have to say the town administration as well as the other department heads have been really welcoming and very supportive just in the few weeks that I've been here. So I feel like I'm finding my feet, and I'm happy to be here, and hopefully I'll get to learn more about each of you. And I think also having a dynamic board that keeps it light is always healthy. It's always a good thing. And I think from a participatory aspect, I think the community will respond to that. And I think when we get into areas of community engagement, it goes a long way. And I think that really speaks to the dynamics of the committee. So kudos to all of you for that. I think it's been very positive so far.
Thank you. Awesome. All right, trucking through our agenda. Just wanted to touch on, as you all know, just to update and also for the public minutes, our in-depth survey is out and about. It is live. Thank you to Sharon and her team for helping us make it happen. Yay. I sent around kind of just a snapshot in time. Late last week, we had gotten 70 responses. No big surprises, though we need a big, much bigger N. But it's out there. The link, just to remind everyone, the link that's in your email can be shared everywhere. The QR code can be shared. I know we love QR code around here, but that can be shared. To everyone. Far, wide, live in Harwich, work in Harwich, anything in Harwich. Barbara, it was a huge weekend in Harwich this past weekend. I hope everyone had a chance to really participate from stem to stern. There was really displays the dynamicism of our town and some of the cross-pollination and synergy, and from the, the fourth grade school choir out there in Dome Park lighting the Christmas tree, to the garden club, to, everything in between. 204, this holiday bazaar, everything. I know a lot of us participate in some of those events, but just in record for visioning, if Barbara passed out, 100 cards? Wow. Tell us.
No gory details.
Yeah.
And it was gory. No, we had the garden club tour at our house and came up and got the cards. Wanted the sign, but I didn't get that. I did get the cards. And fortunately, my friend, she lives here in Harwich Center, I told her what it was about and everything, so she gave them the 3 things they couldn't do, no photos, blah, blah, blah. And here, if you're a Harwich resident or if you work in Harwich, this is a card here, blah, blah, blah. She talked
Awesome.
a little bit about it and
Awesome.
worked.
Thank you.
Gone.
I haven't looked at the numbers after that. I'll have to connect with your side, but awesome.
I did get a question from a
Yeah.
couple of the,
Yeah.
toddling in is, do we have a hard copy, or what did we decide to do about that? Or
So we can talk about this agenda when this is a great time to talk about it, I think, as we plow through this. Christine and I, when we were connecting on Friday, and this dovetails to you, Jim, Christine had raised the great idea whether we had the capability of having some iPads at the, or some tablets at the senior center of the community center, or even at some of your senior events, that might be a way to, certainly we could have a printed version, but I thought Christine's idea of having some tablets would be great. That would kind of dovetail to Sharon, whether we have the ability to do that.
Will the same iPad location allow for multiple responses?
It's a great question for our friend Erica. Yeah, sit at the, come belly up to the, yeah, we're all here. Together.
The community center has that nice, sort of computer up there when you walk in that you press it if you're going to go to the gym, you press it if you're going to go to that. And they every so often they do have things where they're asking you a few questions. So I wonder if we could, see if we could talk them into having it up there.
So I don't think we have to have an answer tonight, but if Sharon, to double back with our tech friend on Bond side, Erica, who is helping us.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah.
Like on a public site like the library. I think it's a great idea to have either tablets or have at the library or other locations like that. But I don't know what the technical answer is to that.
Yeah,
but I can find out.
It's really nice and easy to use.
Okay.
I'm
For
really
sure.
impressed with
We'll
it.
work on that. I guess we'll have to work on that about the paper answer. There's a bit more to ask about that, and I will come back with Christine. If we just go down go ahead, finish.
no,
We'll go
is
down
there?
about the vision.
I haven't tried. Can I print it out?
Should be able to. And
Okay, because I just had a couple, 3 of them asking me about it, and I said, I know we talked about a hard copy at one point. I couldn't remember what our
More to come on that. Yeah.
Yeah, because if I can print it out, I can just give it to them, and then we can figure out how to get it entered.
yes, the latter part, that second question, if you want to, you certainly can have paper copies available. And then if they can be scanned, so on our staff, we have someone who's administering the survey. She or somebody else
Okay.
within our
Could
team
sh-
can input that.
Could she
as an
create like a
administrator.
PDF copy for us? So, because
Sure she
it's,
could,
yeah,
if-
so hold that thought,
Okay.
and if Erica could double back with, because you can't
Yeah,
quite
that's-
print it out of SurveyMonkey, it'll be a little,
Well, I wasn't
Sure.
sure, that's.
yeah.
You have to go section by section.
Yeah,
I'm looking at it right
yeah.
now, and it doesn't cleanly print.
Okay.
Yeah. So if Erica could get us a printed
So
copy,
easy to
that'd be
do
great.
online, too.
You have,
Right.
somebody's got to print it ahead of time. and
Right,
have it.
right.
Well, the other thing you're running into is, depending on how that comes out, these are movable stack writing.
Right.
So you're gonna actually have to number,
Yeah.
so there's gonna be.
We should err on the side of tablets, but
Yes.
we'll keep working on
Well, the
that.
problem is that I said something, she goes, well, I have an iPad. I said, well, I can give you the link, and all of a sudden, she started glassing over.
Yeah. Go ahead.
And for what it's worth, I can't predict how many, but my dad's 91 and he's quite facile with his iPad. but
Correct.
There's a chunk of the population that
Yes.
we will miss unless we have an old-fashioned, and
I mean, how large is that population? Could we
that,
do a
and that's what we don't
manual-
know,
Like, we sit down with them in a room and just do a manual intake form?
Yeah, I suppose.
That was
Well,
kind of, I
just,
thought, your great idea
you
of
really
the
don't know. It's
iPads at
just
the
there's
community
people out
center.
there who, if they're not interested in this at all, you're never gonna know that they wanna take the survey, whereas if you have a old-fashioned paper survey, maybe they will. Is it a negligible amount of people? I don't know. You know,
Or do we have some sort of guided, or do we take turns being available on a Saturday afternoon? Office hours.
So to that end, we may be able to do this at some of the visioning events. We may have some pop-up office
Yeah.
hours, like at the community center. Looking at the demographics of who we were getting so far, the over 60 crowd, we are well represented.
Yeah, I
It's
see
actually
that.
the
Yeah,
under
more
60
than-
crowd.
More than
The-
50%.
Yes, it's actually the under 60 crowd who are going to be able to handle this just fine, that we actually need more numbers of.
May I
So-
offer a suggestion?
Yeah, please go ahead,
And
Mary.
It's about marketing the survey,
Yeah.
more than just making the link available. And I'm not sure who is responsible for updating the content on the website. And I know we have the updated section on the committee page for that, but my thinking is in actually marketing it. Putting it very pronounced on the homepage, putting it on those areas that if people do online payments, then we're talking about putting it on that page. You're gonna hit the demographic of the under 60.
Our tech content
But
guru, Garrett, is
I'd be
working on
more
this.
than,
Yeah.
happy to work with you on that
For sure.
in putting that content, but
Yeah.
putting it in graphics that would cause for attention to come to it and say,
Agreed.
this is it, we're gonna, just like we promote anything else, we'll promote that in the various website pages. And I think there was concern in one of the last meetings about how usually if we don't catch anybody the first couple of weeks of December, it's gone. If you put it on, I don't think so. If you put it on the website,
think it's a great idea.
anyone that needs to access the website can access it from wherever they are.
Garrett has been working on that with our IT officer in the town hall, and part of that, just as we're plowing through our agenda, that the postcard data is sort of solid, and we wanted, for transparency purposes, publish that on the website as well. So Garrett, do you want to give us an update, or?
Yeah, I can give you an update. So
Yeah.
I think as Mary was referencing, if you go to our department page,
Right.
it's on there, right?
Okay, so we have our postcard data there?
Not the postcard data, the survey itself.
Perfect,
The
okay.
postcard data and the other question that actually dates back 2 meetings ago, because I was at the last one, around making a transparent, share drive for the town so they can see everything we've kind of put together. I'm still waiting on a response from that,
Okay.
from the head of IT.
Okay.
But I think that even jumps into what you were saying too, is there things we can do to make it pop?
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Because
just-
right now, it's you have to go to that page, you see the link, and you're like, okay, cool, but what else, what other options do we have? So,
Definitely on the
Let's-
homepage, because people will hit that homepage. Do we have analytics on our website as far as which pages are hit
from,
more often?
from a back-end perspective,
Yes,
it's all on-
that would
yeah.
be one place to look at, is where to put the link and to market it. The other thing is in reference to the other demographic that feels more comfortable with the paper. We have held workshops, before I come from years of technology training for adult education. And yes, when they come along with having workshops, individual workshops, and we could actually market that and say, need a little bit of help, we're gonna have each of us, I'd sit with people, I'd sit for a couple hours and have people come to me, and I would help them go through it. So that could even appeal to that demographic as well.
So what I was going to ask about is sort of finding groups to send things out to their email.
Yeah.
Logical ones.
listservs?
Yeah, like the council, Council on Aging has a bunch of people. The Friends has it. You guys have it.
So-
And but there's also the Chatham Harwich Newcomers Club has 700 members.
You are transitioning right to my point of D on our agenda, which is, distributing this and the visioning. So some of this is happening organically, and everyone should kind of keep in mind, Brian has been awesome about getting our business friends. Ed was with the realtors this morning. Thank you for doing that, Ed, as the subject matter expert for real estate. He was with the MLS crew.
Went actually fairly well.
Good. Thank you for doing that. The plan is, as we're all socializing in December, to distribute this link far and wide, in addition to all the sort of, you can't distribute it too much. So if you think back on your areas that you're the subject matter experts in, I mean, please feel free, empowered to just say like, hey, can you guys email this out? Here's the link.
So we can just do that.
You
It-
get
it'll be
points if you do
it'll
that.
be interesting to
Yes.
know the bias of, are we covering every?
Well, that's what we keep
part of that.
doubling back. But if we hear nothing else from this meeting, is your little area of Harwich that you're the subject matter expert, go forth and conquer with the survey. Share broadly.
Just
Yeah.
one last question. Have we thought about the Chronicle?
Yes, we have, and I mean, we're always trying to talk to them. So I think multiple of us do. So yes, we will keep talking to them.
Helpful.
Yeah. Ed, do you want to give us a little update about the realtors this morning?
Oh, yeah, there was, I think, 15 members
Awesome.
there, which apparently is a good turnout
Nice.
for them.
That's awesome.
Especially given that, it's ostensibly their weekly home tour, and there's
Oh, interesting.
no new
Listings?
houses on the market.
Gotcha.
so there wasn't
Interesting.
much to
There were
tour.
no homes on the tour. so-
Yeah.
Interesting.
So you had
Interesting.
their
So Ed
undivided
McManus was the
attention.
main draw. That's awesome. Yeah.
Anyway, so, just walked them through the process we're going through.
Awesome.
And what the purpose of it is, what the sort of issues we're looking at.
Great.
And where we will go after the first of the year with, community workshops and hearings, and that it will probably not appear on town meeting until a year from this May. And, but they seemed somewhat enthused to circulate it amongst the
Great.
folks, each of their, offices from the different brokerages that were represented, and also to kick it over to offices in the neighboring
Yep.
towns.
Right.
Because, just like somebody said, just like wastewater,
Yeah.
real estate
It's all the same.
doesn't really respect town boundaries either.
Awesome. Thank you for doing that. And so, please, to pick up your point, feel empowered to spread this broad and far. We may need some more cards, Sharon, if Barbara gave out 100. And some synergy, like one of the things driving up here that came to me is who's teaching government at Monomoy Regional High School right now is we should distribute among the seniors in government. You could, is it still, I'll find out, Dixon. Yeah. Anyway.
Jake Sumter. took
Yeah,
over
so
for-
that kind of creative ways of distributing this, in addition to the obvious things like the webpage and stuff
Can
like that.
I ask a question?
Mm.
On which mailing of yours was the link included?
Which mailing of mine was the link included? Do you mind peeking on that way?
Was
Could
there
Garrett
only
keep
this
trucking?
week?
This week?
It was this past week, I
can send
believe.
you the link right now if you want.
Yeah,
Just the
we
link.
could
great.
always keep the link for the survey.
Yeah,
Joyce,
Yes, please, Margot.
I don't think it's likely that much of this will happen, but do we have any way to prevent people from loading?
Yes. We went through that. And Erica, for the subcommittee, Erica and David and I, Erica is the tech support for this at Tigenbond, and Erica and I and David had we're trying to thread the needle here. If you make unique links, they can't be widely distributed, they can't be, if each individual has a unique link, you can't widely distribute it. We wanted to err on the side of collecting more information and making it accessible to folks, but there are some kind of built-in security pieces on the back end, without getting too far into it, that you can't from the same VPN basically do it multiple times. So I mean, if someone wanted to be so I think we're in a good place of threading the needle of keeping it widely accessible while also not making ourselves vulnerable to like a big skew or somebody gaming the survey. Yeah.
And
So
that was one of the questions one of the realtors asked.
yes.
And I told him that.
Yes.
I figured
Yes.
I didn't
Yes.
know, but I figured.
I mean, nothing is perfect, but what we're seeing so far is very consistent with the postcards, with the qualitative data. So, and we'll correct if we are skewed.
So what are we doing, I mean, you said we need more postcards. postcards. Are we still doing?
So the postcard, the new and improved postcard, has the link to the in-depth survey in it.
As
Yeah.
a
Very nice.
Yeah.
Yes,
Should we
QR
sh-
code, yep.
Have we shut off
That's what I
the
was
short
gonna
survey?
Has that been retired
Um,
fully?
we haven't,
Uh,
Website,
Would redirect it to.
the website only has the new one. I don't know about other.
If somebody had an old link, they could.
Yeah,
still-
ooh, I like the redirect. Could we ask that of Erica? If possible.
How to redirect.
Yeah.
You mean like do you want to change the QR
No, so
code?
if someone had the old pop-up postcard, the qualitative 3-question card, and some reason feels motivated to answer it and does it, instead of it going to that Google form, it takes us to the new in-depth survey.
I can look
We
into
can
that.
ask.
Yeah, either that or just shut it off. I mean, there's no reason to change.
Yeah, it hasn't, because since it was hosted on myself, it hasn't been super busy.
I was going to
but-
say, how widely was that distributed other than by
It was like
postcard?
emails and postcards.
Right.
It was, reasonably widely distributed, but I think it will sort of evaporate,
Yeah, I
But
don't
there
think
are
it's
no
going to be
more-
much of a problem.
No.
I noticed that when I was here last week, if I could, that there was the sign from the Cranberry Fest and there was a box there that was related to the 3-question.
Right, so
maybe we should, I would maybe recommend that.
we
you
take that down and we put the new,
And put the new
to
replacement
Christine's,
up.
to your office. If we could take down the old sign, we could put up the new sign.
There's a nice holiday theme.
Yes, and we could put out the
that's-
new cards at your office.
And that would be kind of a soft way of retiring it
Right,
without
right.
literally closing it down or
No.
trying to.
No.
I'm just a little given our history with the QR codes, a little
Yeah,
concerned
I
about
think
that.
if Erica will, I think, know if it's possible to forward it. If not, no big deal.
If it's
Yeah.
easy,
I
great.
can,
If
I
it's
can
not,
ask.
Yeah,
all
if
good.
not.
Okay.
And we can update our presence in the planner office. Awesome, thank you. All right, and just if you think of it, just reminding ourselves with the Google Drive that you try and just take a note that like, hey, Ed, if you do something of visioning, we're just taking a note that we did it in the Google Drive so that we have record of this in terms of the process. With that,
On the very preliminary
Please.
results, in addition to the fact that it's all old people answering so far, and full-time Harwich residents,
Yep.
which surprised me. The numbers are going down in terms of whether people are sticking with the survey.
it's gonna happen, always.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
Always.
Maybe that's not
Always.
unusual.
Nope, and that's
But
what.
we were getting over 70 at the beginning.
Totally
By the time we got
normal.
to the end, the highest number was 52.
Totally normal, and it's why we asked some of our big money questions first, and purposely left our demographics to the end, and yeah.
The demographics is useful.
Yeah, survey fatigue though, for
Yeah.
sure, so, yeah. That's why we need a big N.
But just in terms of feedback, have you all
Please.
heard, or anybody, town staff heard that there are any complaints about the length of it or problems with it? We haven't heard anything, so I don't know if there's.
I have received some feedback. Did anyone else receive any feedback?
I haven't gotten anything, no.
On the socials, there was a little dialogue. There was some feedback, well, what if I don't agree with the premise of the question? And sure, and in respectful way, thank you for participating. I hope that, we've tried to leave a lot of others. There's a few open-ended questions. Please share your thoughts with that. So nothing overtly,
Great.
yeah. It was working. That's like I haven't heard that like anyone
That's
got,
the most
yeah,
important.
this took me to
Any
some.
question
And they're going
in
to the right place.
particular that raised the socials?
No, if I were to kind of get a sense of like community dialogue and things like that, it's probably more philosophical and role of government and things like that. And the questions, just good healthy town debate. No like that the link didn't work or this, I couldn't check the right boxes or anything like that.
Cool.
Cool. All right. Anything else about survey, visioning? Any other questions? I mean, we have a lot of questions about, on the agenda, specific E and F, we have to get through our visioning statement and our kind of workshop themes, formats for this early winter. So when I say visioning, I mean literally around the survey.
Just want to, I'm not sure if this is the right place or not, but the folks at the Council on Aging are talking about they'd like us to fund it, is sort of getting more data about the needs of older adults.
Yeah.
How many have dementia problems, how many have this and that. And I said, before we spend money, we should think about if that's happening already.
So I think the answer to that is, as we're collecting the survey data here, there are definitely questions that could be filtered out the results very usefully in terms of the respondents' priorities that are apropos of our older Harwich residents. So yes, it's not like specific healthcare questions around dementia and things like that, but like, what are the most important town services? And there are things there that you could
The
select
approach-
older versus young,
Yeah, the reason we're thinking about doing it is the notion that if you can show that something's a really growing problem,
Yes.
it's easier to raise money, in terms
Yes,
of
so I would say have our first pass, have it, parse it out to that particular interest group and go from there.
If we do some of this, it might be useful to give it to.
Yeah.
But I think it's only going to be trending though, right?
What's
Because
that?
you're not going to get real raw numbers from this kind of a
It's not
survey.
rate of change or anything, it's just, yes.
Because
it's like-
otherwise,
Yeah,
right, otherwise you'd need to go to medical bureaus to get more numbers that you're looking for.
right,
Well, that's what they're talking about. to
Yeah,
some
well, you
extent.
can
Sure.
get that.
Yeah.
sure, but you're gonna get hot topics from this. Go ahead, Brian.
This might not be the appropriate time in the meeting, so tell me if it's not.
I will.
As you usually do. I'd like to think out over the course of the first quarter, as we're doing the group working sessions, to see how we're conducting those. For
Yeah.
example, are we going to do,
I think that's F.
That
I
is
think
F.
that's F on our agenda, and we could flip it up a little bit
well, okay. so
to,
right there.
because we got two big things we gotta get through with Sharon here. We gotta deliberate on our vision statement situation. And then, so that was review past and other town visioning statements, deliberate and possibly adopt a vision statement, or at least work on that tonight in our remaining hour and 20 minutes, which we can do. And then, exactly to your point about the work, that's F, workshops coming forward.
Christine, I'm a process hound dog.
We need us all. No, it's great. It's good. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. Sharon, I totally defer to you. What do you want to do first?
Well,
That sounds more fun.
Or what, I think we should aim to accomplish both. As I was very vocal about last meeting, I don't think we should get lost in the vision statement, but we obviously have to accomplish that, so.
well, I guess I would maybe turn to the potential themes or topic areas for the workshops, because
Sure.
that's going to take some time to plan out.
Sure.
So, making sure we get through that tonight,
Sure.
I think would be really helpful for
Okay.
us on our end.
Okay.
So, we gave you a document that compiled from the first postcard results, the themes. So again, there were 3 questions, just for Christine's assistance here. There were 3 questions. What do you love most about Harwich? What's one thing you'd like to change? And then, is there anything else?
I think what concerns
Or
you.
what concerns
Yeah,
you, sorry.
what concerns you about
And
Harwich, yep.
you're right, biggest concerns.
Mhm.
And then, is there anything else you'd like to share with us? A question along those lines. So, there's a Word doc that
Yep.
puts all of that into
Yep.
those 3 columns, if you will, with, highlights of the themes that come up. So, hopefully you've had a chance to take a look at
Yep,
that.
the committee had it, yep.
So there was discussion last time about workshops going forward, not so much focused on an overall vision statement, but be more topic-based. And I know there was some, traction for that. So these are just some ideas. I don't have like any sort of outstanding recommendations of, which ones you should pick. That's really for you to deliberate on. But it could be done that way, or we could do a little bit of both. So I guess I'm going to kind of move into the other topic, which is the vision statement. You could think about having a combined workshop that has sort of some high-level discussion and engagement with the public around vision and growth. And then you could have breakout sessions, breakout rooms on specific topics. We certainly have done workshops like that. Or you could, dive right into having just, workshops on specific themes, big issues.
Is it possible, because I think my sense is that the sentiment in the community is a little bit for the latter, with some big housing, development, water. Could we bring, hey, this is our proposed vision statement to a workshop like that, get some feedback on it, and then delve into because I, in terms of our turnout, I'm not sure we're going to get an enormous turnout hey, this is our vision statement for Harwich. I think it's going to be wah, wah, wah. I think it's more tangible, but this is open for discussion. That's my...
Well, so just food for thought or,
Yeah.
For discussion. The visioning workshops that I've been doing in other communities have, the initial workshops are really very high level, but they're interactive. So it's not that we or the committee is telling people what to think, but it's really getting input from the community on what they value, what concerns them, what do you value most? So we've asked general questions in these visioning workshops, and again, it's very hands-on, of very similar to the postcard initial input on what do you value most and what would you like to change, and then kind of moving into what is your future vision for the community. So it's really, we're getting a lot of input on some specific things. So I know you feel like you're getting a lot of input from the postcards, from the survey. It's just another way, but it's in person, and that appeals to some people, and it also kind of lets the community know that you're doing this in a big way because it's advertised, right? And so, there's promotion about the event.
So we already got input from a
right.
few hundred people.
Sure.
Right? So that could be considered part of that working session, and we've got their voice. So there could be a follow-on session or sessions, right? So how do you do that in a large community? Do you do that in 1, 2, 3, umpteen? I mean, how do you, or do you?
Before we get to that question, I actually would like to, because we started to raise this last time, and I would like to really kind of get, if we have to come to a vote, we can, but I would like to actually kind of get a sentiment about this. Is kind of the purpose of the workshops. How to put this? I'll just put my sense of, and please, Christine, and discuss the workshops. Really, I said this to Christine. We have never asked these questions of the community before. It's a very privileged time. Attention span is very, I would like to go to these workshops with, sure, this is our vision statement. What do you think about it? And also Harwich, a little bit of feedback in that, but this is a really privileged time to say, hey, this is what the community said about housing. Tell us how we can fix housing in Harwich. That is really high impact. One example, right? That's our huge issue that touches the schools, it touches development, it touches water, it touches everything. So housing is one, land, development is another one. To me, but this is a committee, and so we want consensus about this. A few issues like that and the workshops around that, and to Brian's point of having a really formal way of doing that, is where I would like those workshops to go, as opposed to repeating what we have done through the cards and the survey.
So, I think that's
it's open for discussion, so please respond.
One other sort of thing to mention before you do deliberate on it is that we do have an opportunity here, because the housing production plan is being updated and the open space and recreation plan is being updated, and those are some key topics, right? So we could kind of capitalize on that, that energy that's already kind of bubbling up out there, and do something that is more focused on, say maybe there are three big topics. And, it could be housing, open space, natural resources, and like you said, development, land development. And you could do that within the same workshop. You could have different rooms, or you could have different workshops with these topics and invite people to attend one or more. And I would suggest you do them at different times of day, different days of the week.
And
And,
and let's open it up for deliberation here. Can you have like a well-designed group session that maybe covers our our top three? Because I think, it's less about, as we've talked about, this is all related, right? It's all related. Nothing can be fully separated here. So it feels a little bit artificial to say, like, hey, we're going to have a separate session about land use, and then, it's not, and no, we're not talking about housing, right? But it's really like having multiple times of day, different places. With that, I'm going to stop and let's open it up. Is agreement, dissent, good ideas come from dissent. Was Margot going to say something? And then Mary.
Listening to you, lay that, what you just said, I could envision having a workshop that begins by saying, okay, we did the survey.
Yeah,
And here are the big themes that came
Here's the data.
out of this,
Yes.
this survey.
Yes.
And the committee is, so you spend sort of the beginning of the meeting
Yes.
reporting back to the community
Yes.
about what did we learn from that.
Which builds rapport.
Right,
Right.
And then breaking it into the big themes into smaller groups, because there's no way in a big
Yes.
group of people you're going to be able to manage that kind of a discussion. So breaking it into smaller groups, I think, makes sense, and people go where they're most interested, So I think you could do that all in one.
I think we should. I think the LPC process is abstract enough that making it, yeah.
But, one of the things that I really liked in the way that Brewster approached it was that they did an initial round of workshops and, got the kind of feedback that they got from the community. Then they went and worked on some much more detailed recommendations and came back with a second round and said, okay, this is what we are recommending based on what we heard from you in the survey and in the first set of workshops. And that seems like it would capture some of the more detailed things that you're thinking about. Because, when people come in cold to a process like this, they're not thinking, well, we need to tweak section 42 of the zoning bylaw to allow for inclusionary zoning, and they're just not,
Right.
they're not there yet,
Right.
But if we come back to them and say, we need to,
Yes. Yes.
yeah.
Yes. Yes. Mary, you had your hand up.
I was thinking along the same lines.
Okay.
But there is one survey question that to me just sums up how people think about a vision statement. And it was the question, how do you see Harwich in 5 to 10 years?
That was our
And it should
open-ended
be-
question. I was
It
proud of
should
that
be the
question.
launching point for this vision statement. That's how I feel.
That's a great idea.
It
It's a great
should be
idea.
the launching point
Yeah,
instead of,
yeah.
because if I was a resident coming in,
Yeah.
I might be a little confused with, okay, I have to work on housing and then
Yeah,
or
yeah,
this
yeah.
or that.
Yep.
It is, that's what a vision statement
That's great.
is.
It's great.
It is, how do I see myself in 5 years?
Yeah, that's great.
So that
That's
could
great.
be
And it helps us avoid some of the bottomless pit of wordsmithing around vision statements that I have been through in the past that are just
Yes.
soul crushing. Yes.
You don't want to do that in a large group.
No. Other,
I just
Go
want to
ahead, David,
follow up
yeah.
on Margot's. I just want to see if I'm hearing you. So we've got this survey, we've got this other input. As a committee, we look through, we say, these are the most important things we found. We put that on the agenda. What are we doing, picking 3 topics? Is that the idea? And then having workshops based on what we've pre-selected, or how else?
I mean, I think it's a little bit of this stuff when you look at this is going to pop out. Like one thing that, this is just without, not too much deliberation on it, but just, there are some big trends, like, how many people chose, your great prioritized housing question, which was asked so well. If the town were able to prioritize housing, what demographic what would you support? And there are some clear trends in that. And that may change as the N the N increases, but that would also dictate, say, then some of the deliberatory, like, intervention points of, like, if, it's around, say, middle-income housing, then what we're talking about then are what are some, maybe more zoning and things like that. So I
guess I'm not asking too much into how much detail, how far into it we can get. But if we're going to identify working groups, separate, running simultaneously, we have to pick some.
I don't know that there's surprises. It's housing.
Well, I don't know. I can point to at least 4 of you and
Some
say,
of them
this
are
is
right
your
here.
starting point.
Yeah.
So housing is not, always is for you, but it's not for everybody on this committee. So can we agree on 3? Probably. But it's not a slam dunk.
I think we're gonna try and do something tonight, right? Aren't we trying to pick them out of these?
Right.
So on housing, are we being redundant with the other group on the housing production plan and all of that? I mean,
No.
are we
No.
beating a dead horse?
No.
No, sorry. No, because that, so Karen Sonnerberg has prepared a draft housing production plan, needs assessment. So that's in draft form right now, and there's data, it's basically, provides a lot of data about current, trends, issues in Harwich. So it's good timing, actually, to.
Okay, but they haven't had a workshop or anything to,
No, and
so
that's part of-
we have,
part of her
she's
scope.
got the data,
Yes,
then now figure out what to do.
yes.
And just to
And how
kind
to
of
present it.
to remind everyone, we have sort of complementary spheres of influence around
Right.
housing. So, because we always have to remember is that the trust is more big A affordable housing. We are conceptual housing in general
Right.
more.
But I-
Go ahead,
but I-
Jim.
It's interesting, I think there's always 2 issues in this. Like, the one is to get the public's views, but the other is to try and get to a point of saying, well, what do we really want to say in this?
Right.
And I think in that case, having a smaller get-together of some of the people who have been worrying about this and working on this might get us where we want to go.
Right. It's really. I think I think I'm hearing a little bit of consensus that the workshop is sure some opinions, but also potential action points. Is that?
I'm hearing something different.
Oh,
I thought
please
what
tell us.
Margo was saying was you get a large, it's a larger group to react to, these are the themes we've identified, and then break into smaller groups in that same meeting setting.
That's one way to do it.
That was one way to do it.
Well, I like
Or-
that. I just
yeah.
want to make sure how we're identifying these things that we're breaking into. I assume we have to identify that in advance.
Yes.
Ahead of time, yeah.
So hopefully some of them we could identify tonight, and some of them we'll pick up as we see additional results of the survey.
I think the thing Margot brought up and Mary brought up around iteration of it too, where we can actually show we listened, we
Yeah,
made some
yeah.
Yes.
I like that.
Yes.
alterations, and then we came back to you, and if you're really that interested, please come give us your comments. But I
Yes.
think a way you can hit the major topics and maybe even allow for, like, let's just call it a wild card, is when you do those sessions, you come in and say, hey, this is what we've heard, and let's say it's the first session. This is what we heard, these are the major themes, we're gonna break off into smaller groups that you guys are passionate about, guys and gals are passionate about. Let's go in and let's put our ideas to paper, and let's come up with something, and then as we iterate on that, you can even say, hey, for this session, what's one thing we didn't cover, right? Like, in each group, maybe even bring it up, it's like, if you could cover one more thing today, what would it be? And you just take a quick tally and a vote, and then you bring that to the next session. You see if you can add maybe a 4th group in, right? So, like, I think there's ways of doing it, but I like the idea of iterating and showing, hey, we're changing as you guys give us active feedback, and if you want to be involved, you can really shape this thing.
Just to piggyback on that and Margot's point, I think as we've broken from that large group setting, break out into smaller groups, put more meat on the bone, iterate, perhaps, iterate with that same smaller group. I think we could also circle back to the same constituent groups that we've been nurturing and say, hey, this is, because not everybody's going to get to that large setting.
Right.
So we can go back to small business folks, back to the realtors, to kind of keep them not communicating, plus continue to get input. And this will be probably 2, 3, maybe sometimes 3 or 4 months in between iterations, but it keeps actively seeking input. And that gets at what are we doing over
Yeah,
a 3
yeah. So to that end, is there anybody who has a big opinion that we're leaving out? Because I want to, before we, everyone's, okay. The sessions, the survey is happening. My sense is that February would be the earliest that you could do these sessions, because we need the data from the survey. And
We need to schedule it. and
yes,
probably advertise.
probably, and I don't want to be, I want to be ambitious for February, and then you run into February vacation, but, which is, school vacation and things like that. It's probably real, end of February, March. I think we had talked about the community center. We know we have to get different times.
For using the community center.
Yeah, a place to do it.
It's always a challenge. So,
Just
I
to-
hope,
Please, if you, just to finish the thought about the logistics, the community center, various times, so the something in the day, something in the evening, right? To
Something on
echo
the weekend.
Brian's point of then there may be some, so I'm thinking of the formal tie and bond facilitated ones, right, that we really need and then to echo Brian's point, then some of this is going back to your subject matter experts. Do we need at least 2 or 3?
For
Yeah.
topic or?
No, for our sessions, where we're going with this.
Well, my experience has been that, having at least 2 that are at a different time.
Yep.
of Day, or,
Yep.
Time of day.
Yep.
Day of the week.
Yep.
Is
Yep.
really helpful. You're
Yeah.
gonna get a different audience.
So we're gonna have a minimum of 2. I wonder if we should have a special demographic, maybe a third for like our older crowd that are there for a luncheon or something. That would,
Sharon, if you just follow about 2 for the minute, would it be pretty much the same workshop done twice?
Yes.
but different
I mean,
times.
that's what I've been doing in other
Or
communities,
3
so.
times? if
Yeah,
it's-
3. I think
One on a
the
weekend.
older crowd would be helpful too, because you could get the date, you could get the survey from them, catch any stragglers with that with an iPad. But then it's a wonderful group to participate in a discussion.
You can certainly do something, specific at the senior center or something like that for,
Yep.
The
So-
older population, but also think about the younger population. as
So
well.
I was just gonna go with that, a fourth, and I was thinking about whether we could potentially invade the PTO or a school space for one.
Cape Cod Young Professionals.
Okay.
Yeah, there are
So-
also,
so we
there are
have-
also there's a lot of big rooms in churches.
Yeah, no, I don't.
We got the 204 too.
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
we had
yeah.
that
I
housing hub.
hit less about the space. So just so we have two general community ones, and then the younger and the older.
You need breakout space too.
But I guess,
To your-
I've been talking about this. for a
Yes,
while,
Jim.
and
Yes,
so
please.
I'm marching ahead, maybe I'm marching. I don't-
Go ahead.
I
All right,
can- I
we're
can-
we're getting something down on paper for
I
tie
can
and bond. Go ahead.
unmarch, but,
Yes.
But sort of, I've sort of been talking up the idea of getting about 10 people together who work around older adults or are engaged in the older adult things for sort of it's sort of like what I did 4 years ago when I first came of doing a retreat, but just do like a 2-hour thing. But then I would invite sort of more of an open thing of saying any older adults who want to come and participate a little bit could also come. So that was the vision I
Could
had.
you do that? So you could maybe do the first round with your
The 10.
the experts, and then maybe Tag and Bond could support the second round, that the
That's-
older community, and that would be our older community specific
And they could do
visioning.
the same thing with children, I think.
Correct.
But I think Jim's gonna have an easier time getting
Yeah.
a pipeline to the elder
Yeah, yeah,
crowd.
yeah.
than Joyce you are in getting to the younger crowd.
Yeah,
'cause
I
they're
know.
not gonna wanna come.
We gotta work,
So
we're
that's gonna be
working,
a tough
we're
one.
working so many angles about that, you know, the school district, the teachers, the PTO, it's just trying. So,
to get them to-
yeah, but because everyone's raising their humans, you know, and
Yeah.
working.
Working full-time and, yeah, and it's just,
What are we having for dinner? And, you know, so to the action points of this, I think we're getting some stuff down for you, right? So
Yes.
2 big community sessions for everybody, all comers. 1, a little bit, a deliberative session, similar format, data deliberation, but aimed on the older folks. And then another one aimed at the younger folks. And that's 4, so kind of 2 bigger, 2 smaller.
So,
End of February, probably through March.
I think that time frame works out well, and it works out well with, pretty well with the other plans as far as what I recall. And Karen's scope does include, I believe, some specific outreach just around housing,
Yeah.
like her,
I wanna
she
know
has
that.
an additional sort of workshop focus, kind of a deeper dive into housing, so.
Could
we
she,
think about
could she
that.
come, like, I can't imagine, could she come at one of the, maybe the 2
Oh,
big ones? Because
yes.
I can't imagine if you advertising something community-wide
Oh, yeah, she does.
and like, everybody come tell us about Harwich and tell us how to, you know, improve the town, that, I mean, housing is gonna be the
yeah,
thing.
it should be, yeah.
the hot button.
I just wanna
And David's skeptical, which is good, which is good.
I fully support you. All I'm saying is that's not the only thing.
No, not at all, not at all.
My
Yes,
question is,
not at all.
is what Karen is going to need, is that going to fit into the sort of format we're talking about?
Yes, she actually is on board for one of, like, a combined workshop, like we're talking about, like a higher level workshop where housing is a topic. And then her scope also includes a specific, like, housing workshop, like a deeper dive, you know, which, and I believe that's sort of later in the winter, like that March timeframe, before she finalizes the housing production plan. So I think
Maybe we
timing-wise,
could
it would work
Kind
out
of
pretty
table
well.
that a little bit, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, but what we might need from that, okay.
Are we gonna try to do one of these on a Saturday?
We have to, yeah.
Certainly
That's
could,
right.
and I would
Okay.
recommend.
Saturday morning.
I'd
Absolutely.
recommend
I
that.
feel like a Saturday
It's
morning.
still gonna be tough for
Mm.
families that are running.
The other thing I was assigned to, and I don't know how it fits in here, is the summer folks. So, we haven't talked about
You
that.
know, so,
I haven't thought about what to do
right,
about
our summer folks, Karen was so kindly, or Christine was sorry, oops, think of Karen, housing Karen, and then
Yes.
Christine was kindly going to work on how we might be able to distribute the survey
That would be nice.
to all our taxpayers.
Yeah.
Remember the email we were talking
Probably
about that?
enough.
Our response, which I think is going to be a hard ask, but like our how we notify the town, which I think the whole town response stuff is really around public safety and things like that, but whether we might be able to use that. We had thought that's a way to get the summer people. Mary's input about like when you go to pay your taxes online is awesome. Like if we can, because you know, you might be
It's a
paying
hard
your
one to
taxes
get.
remotely. I guess.
Know how to figure out who's part-time.
Yes, I guess we could kind of table that of like maybe of, you know, when they are quote back, those migratory birds are potentially back into the spring. I don't think we have to,
Maybe we don't need to have an event for them, just an
yeah, yeah.
opportunity for them to answer
I mean,
the survey.
there are a lot of communities that have what they call a summer town meeting, and we could do something like that,
I think we gave up ours.
you know.
We used to have one.
Yeah, gave it up.
Maybe we could have a fifth summer, and we'll be farther along the process with that, so it may serve as a little check and balance of iteration, as you guys were
I
saying.
think we should plan for it.
Okay.
I agree. I think
Awesome.
the non-voting taxpayers are a critical element
used
of
to- they used to
the
have it every
community,
year.
so absolutely. I
That's
think that we
either-
can reach out to
Might be
them.
three
It's either a
different times.
validation or
very
it's
much
so.
seeking input.
It's an iteration in the fifth, in say like June?
To show that
Yeah.
Wait, no, wait, so when's town meeting? Town meeting's May. When would one do that? Christine, do you have a sense of, you don't,
Tax-
Probably sometime in the summer.
so
maybe
June,
in
June, okay,
June
June,
or
July,
before, just
okay,
July.
okay,
I'd probably say July or August.
Okay.
Because you know they're here.
Okay.
And I know
Okay.
it's a difficult time for.
It's usually, historically, it's been August, early August.
okay,
Okay.
okay,
I feel like that makes sense.
okay, all right. It's just
Or
what
we
everyone
put a
wants to be
little
doing.
sticky on their tax bill, I'll bet they'll,
So five, okay, so we're talking like 5 workshop-esque,
Could be an insert in that, right?
right.
5 workshop things.
Yeah, can we get an insert in there?
I'm serious.
I know, she's serious about it.
I'm
Yes.
serious, I mean,
That, of course, that's how you're gonna reach them all now, and then they can save the date.
Right?
And if they don't, then
and they can also fill out the
they
survey.
have other things
Is
going on.
that
or-
something you could help us with, Christine? Sorry. If,
Absolutely. I think if we do send it out in the tax, with the tax bills, and I'd need to coordinate
Yeah,
that with the
yeah.
assessor and the tax.
it's a great idea.
tax
if we're-
Not
collector,
everybody's,
but
but
also,
that way you get your
Do you put
second
notices
homeowners.
on water
I think this
bills?
committee would need to decide what
They
day
don't come very
is
often.
appropriate.
They don't come forward.
You know,
Raffle
in
off some
August,
cowboy boots.
Actually,
So-
You have to
I-
be there.
I think, so.
if it's to save the date, we need to have the date
Right,
selected.
right. And it's, at the very least, it's a survey. But if
Yeah.
so certainly if you're able to find out if we're able to do that, if you double back to me, we can work on that. Since we're moving in a direction of tangible things, does somebody want to, I will help them, but does somebody want to volunteer to start to be the lead a bit on coordinating, do this together, but dates and locations? Somebody motivated by that?
For the workshops?
Yeah.
I can do that, but I do have another question here.
Okay.
As far as just the process itself, which is
But we're signing you up for that. I will help you, Mary. Yes, okay, yes.
just the process itself.
Yes,
then
please, go ahead.
Also, in marketing, I'd like to help if
Awesome,
I may.
awesome.
But my question is we're all understanding that this is a long process. Does the community understand it's a long process? Because as a resident, when they participate in
Yeah.
these individual activities, they think it's a one and done. But I did that. I'm done with my contribution. So if there is some way, or if you might think it would be a good idea, that once a process is established for how we get from point A all the way to Z, we educate the public that this is the first step, take the survey, this is the second step, then attend these workshops, this is the third step.
There's a document, and
There is a
yeah, there is a time frame that Sharon has shared with us that would be great to put on the website.
However, that your last meeting, you wanted some well. One of the big
Yes,
reasons was the end
yes. And I, Mary, right on. And so much of it, I think, is how is why these meetings are important. A, they're public, but B, that we're all getting on the same page about how we talk about this in the community, in our little spheres of influence.
Talking points.
Yes.
Even if there's just a web page devoted to this entire process.
Yeah, which we have a committee website, so it sounds like you have volunteered to help Garrett make it better. Thank you.
I'll nominate Mary as our marketing guru. Seriously, I think you're getting in an area that's hugely important.
Yeah.
And I think you've got a lot of experience in it.
That's great.
So help us all.
It's great. And if anybody else wants to help, thank you. And I would like to help you too with the dates and times about just interfacing, because we're going to have to actually get the room. But it sounds like starting the end of February through March with a session for our summer residents in August, but we're going to try and get maybe the core 4 done in 6 weeks, say February to April or something, beginning of April. Okay.
Mary, as the saying goes, you came amongst us and we took you in.
That's what the plant's for. No, I'm kidding.
Are one of us.
Sharon, keep guiding us. What more do we need on that?
You're on a roll tonight.
Okay,
so,
doing things. Yeah.
So I guess getting back to and thank you for your indulgence on the scheduling and things, because it does take some time to set all that up, so it's great to get that squared away. I guess I would go back to the themes and your discussion about draft vision statements. So the themes do play into, or play a role in crafting a vision statement, both positive and things that you want to change or the community wants to change. And then I also we compiled a document that had the two previous vision statements for Harwich, as well as, I think there were 3 others from other communities that, that we've been working with, and you can see that they're very different. I mean, if you look
Should we jump into these?
Sure.
Yeah, and just to, my last point, which I think was really, or last, just put on the record, that Mary's sense of the open-ended question, your Harwich of the future, is going to be our point to step into probably the vision statement, and it dovetails very nice what Margot was saying in terms of reviewing the data. Here's what we got. Here's what you've told us. Here's what you envision Harwich in the future as. That's the step into the vision statement, as well as the very kind of granular things we hope to accomplish, at least generate from the workshops. Okay,
Definitely.
with that, we're going to
So just-
other people's vision statements.
Yeah, so
All right,
also-
and the vision statements of the past. Can everyone view those? Is everyone able to? Because this is where we get into the wordsmithing.
And I guess, I mean, for your sort of first crack at this, I wouldn't suggest wordsmithing per se,
Right,
but
right.
kind of, again, focus on like, big topics, big themes, like, again, big picture ideas. I'll take down notes of what you're commenting on. And then we provided, 3 statements, as I said, one from, the town of Brewster, and that is actually like a 2-page statement with some specifics. So they got into a fair amount of specifics. Town of Sandwich is very short and concise. So that's a vision statement and the growth policy, and that is the second part of your deliberations is going forward is adopting a growth policy as well. And then the town of Truro, which was also a little bit longer. The committee there deliberated for a long time on the vision statement and really broke it into sort of some subtopics that were really important to the community and the committee. So they're giving you kind of a range of options or sort of examples. And there's no right answer, other than the fact that it should be a high-level vision and a growth policy at the end of the day. So.
There were a lot of things they were promising to do in Truro.
Yes.
I mean, I look at this stuff and I just, like, the vision statement to me should just be a conceptual viewpoint of where you should be in the next 5 to 10 years. And some of these things are getting so into the semantics of it that I feel like they're constraining themselves. And so, I mean, I think sandwich is probably like, from an external standpoint, is probably the closest, that bolded part. Like, it makes sense. They're trying to paint a picture.
It's a little lame.
It is.
Great place to live, work, and play.
The big thing I worry about with this is a lot of, like, just hyperbole.
Yeah.
Right? It's
Yeah.
like, we're going to be sustainable. Okay, well, what does that really mean? Right? Like, or like, we're going to care about the environment. Yeah, everybody wants to, right? So it's like, I think we really need to kind of think about what motivates us to live in the town. And really, again, to Mary's point, like, where does this thing need to be in the next 10 years? Right? And like, what is really the area of passion?
So, right. So looking at, and that's where we're going to go back to our postcards too, right? Because people told us, like, you know, a lot of that in the qualitative data, and we have that open-ended question survey. What is the, for the, you know, for like the best practices to both of you, for it to be, you know, within this undertaking, like, what do we have to have? We have to have a vision statement. We have to have a statement about growth, right? And what makes it useful? What? You know, if we have to have it, like, what do people do with it? Like, what? You know, what? Why? I mean, I'm not saying that we don't. You know, like, we'll do it, but like, what? Yeah, what? Why?
Well, think about it as sort of providing the framework for the rest of the plan. So as you get further into the details of the plan, you yourselves will probably go back to the vision statement and say, well, are our goals consistent with this vision? Are policies and strategies consistent with? So the committee may use it as a whole. Believe it or not, the public and people that aren't going to read the plan in detail may refer back to only the vision statement at some points in time. It can be useful at different points for town meeting, for providing support for things that you want to change that are in the comprehensive plan. So it should be forward-thinking. It should be high-level, broad statements. I would agree, nothing too specific, because then you get kind of lost in the weeds of doing that.
Could Christine weigh in too? Yeah.
Sure.
Where you've seen it work or not work,
I
or
agree
like,
with Sharon.
yeah.
We want to create a framework where you are touching on all of these very complex issues, but they all overlap, and how the town wants to balance and address some of the needs of the community going forward. And I do think the vision statement, yes, it should be high level and forward thinking, but not, I think, I'm sorry.
Garrett.
To
Yeah,
Garrett's
yeah.
point, not vague enough that it just, what does it mean? You want it to have a little bit of meaning behind it, so.
It makes me think of could I tag Margot for a second? When you've gone through this with the commission, is there a way to, make this very high yield, or how is the commission? When we went through the commission's materials, we could pull up theirs. Theirs is quite good. What's the
I think starting with the vision statement of the regional policy plan is a place to begin, and then you could say this is a fit, or we need to refine it in this way. But I mean, they've spent a lot of time.
That's why I was wanting to tag you. Yes, yes, yes,
And
yes.
it is succinct to Garrett's
Yes.
point.
Right.
So,
I mean,
Go
if
ahead,
I-
Brian.
If I could add, I think, I agree with that, and I think if you're adding more detail, now you're encroaching on establishing the strategy, and then more detail to the strategy is the plan.
Right.
And that's how it hangs together. The plan tests the strategy tests the vision. So that's how you bring it to life.
And I think it also helps as the town begins to implement those strategies and to achieve those goals. It blends in much easier as well, from an implementation perspective, once the plan's been completed.
Should we? Okay, can we?
One more thing, you could also look at the past vision statements and see if you like them, if they still
So
apply.
I was gonna say it's 6:20. We're all about we're accomplishing things tonight, which is good, which we love. We can go right to 7, but I think there's an opportunity here to work on this a little bit. Should we start with the commissions and then delve into the past Harwich ones, and maybe we'd accomplish what we like and don't like from each of them? Is that cool?
Yep,
Sure.
and I'll take notes here,
Perfect.
and that'll be
All
the
right.
starting point.
What's it, Margot?
Where's the commission?
Yeah,
Is that-
hold on. Margot, what's it called? I know it's in our drive, but
Regional policy plan.
regional policy.
So, or, I'm not sure if it would have been in,
it's in the drive, but I think the Google might be better. Regional Policy Plan, Cape Cod Commission.
And
I've got that, I'm just-
did somebody email
There's an
that?
executive summary.
It's
it would be in there.
It's in the drive, but your Googles might be the fastest way to find it.
2018 Cape Cod Regional Policy Plan.
All right, let's do it.
All right, let's do it. Let's everyone.
Did you guys?
That again?
I don't have a division, I don't have a division statement, just from their website.
2018,
It should be at the very beginning of the
Cape Cod
It's,
Commission
plan.
Regional
I know.
Policy.
If somebody finds it.
Regional Policy Plan. All right,
Yes,
8 place types. It's the place
It's the
typer.
executive summary, maybe that's not it.
How are you looking at it?
On the Googles, but let me
just
get there,
weird.
Jim, and I'll find it for
there
you.
it is. It's 2018 Cape Cod Regional.
Policy Plan
it's
update.
not the very first thing, though.
Yeah, I know, that's what
Yeah.
I'm finding.
Goals and objectives.
Which one
Table
was
of
it again?
contents.
And it's not
Guidance on
Uh,
LCP?
like,
No. A regional vision for Cape Cod. Growth policy for Barnstable County, pages 23 and 24, that's my guess.
Somebody read it aloud.
Trying to find it.
We gotta find it.
I'm close.
I know, David. You're just amazing. It's amazing. It's really good.
Yeah,
Computer,
goals and objectives.
where's my page numbers? 16, okay, now I'm really close.
Challenges.
You need the Wi-Fi password.
regional vision for Cape Cod.
Amazing, David.
Growth
I've-
policy for Barnstable County.
Oh, so this is the growth policy. Could we start with the vision and policy?
I think
But
that
maybe it's
is
not
their
in this.
vision.
Vision for Cape.
Yeah, it is. I'm pretty sure. The region's intrinsic wealth. How much feeling do you want in this? The
Lots.
region's intrinsic wealth stems from its natural beauty, historic community character, and healthy coastal and freshwater environments. The features that make Cape Cod attractive are also the cause of the forces that threaten to overwhelm the environment and erode its character. The challenge Cape Cod continues to face is balancing the protection of the environment with supporting the residents, workers, and visitors with the necessary services and infrastructure to thrive over the long term. Where that balancing point lies may be a point of discussion, but the choices made must consider the threat of losing those unique Cape assets that cannot be replaced. The vision for the future of Cape Cod is a region of vibrant, sustainable, and healthy communities and protected natural and cultural resources. And then it's going into how to get there. To advance this regional vision, the 2018 Regional Policy Plan includes a description of 8 place types, including, and I'm not going to go through that part.
Right.
The commission will focus efforts to support vibrant downtowns and village centers by helping to plan for housing and economic opportunities, to meet regional needs in the community. Okay, so you're getting into more specifics there that are, but the first part of it was really.
So does anyone just want to pop out, like, this is open discussion right here, things we like, things we don't like about that?
Can we each get access to it now?
I can't
Pages
see- I
23 and
can't find it.
24
Of what, though?
of what you've got, regional policy.
Of the regional
The
policy
regional
plan?
policy plan.
Okay. So, and I got that by just,
Didn't seem to speak to people, but I.
Ah, great point.
But it
Didn't
didn't
include
resonate.
the community. Great
Didn't work
point.
for you?
Great point. I think it did articulate, so it does articulate the tension between
Yeah.
Cape Cod, or so we're talking about Harwich. Harwich's natural resources, which is why people want to be here, which is also what makes that an inherent tension. I love the feedback, Brian. It's spectacular about it does not mention the people. And in our qualitative data postcards and the survey, over and over again, what is emphasized is the importance of our people.
Community values.
Correct,
people, sports and
correct.
charm. Yeah.
Correct. The people. But, I mean, the environment's important too, but that interface, that tension.
Okay, just
Please.
jumping back to the guidance document that we all got from the commission when Chloe
The
came.
template document, is that what you're talking about?
To how to do a plan and how to get approved, and
All the
please,
elements that should be
please,
in it.
please, thank you.
And it says for the vision statement and growth policy, articulation of the vision statement and growth policy that express how and where the community wants to develop and areas the community wants to protect. Consideration should be given to the Cape Cod place types identified in the RPP, as well as other appropriate strategy planning areas in the community. So I think it's, you know, if you look at the earlier, well, at least the earliest Harwich one that we had in our package tonight, it kind of sets out an ideal of what we would like to see in the future. What do we want for our town? The one that was done in, I don't know, what, 2011
Yeah.
is much more about,
I can't hear you.
Should I? I can start to read them if you want. I can read them if you'd like.
much more development oriented, let's just put it that way.
Should we? Yeah.
Less concerned about preservation. And that was a reflection of the planning board that we had at the time, so.
Should we read the Harwich one since we had a little feedback about the Cape Commission one.
Have it in front of me.
2000, We see do you want to read it, Brian?
Go ahead.
No, okay, I'll read 2000, and then somebody else can read the other one. Vision statement of 2000. We see the residents of Harwich coming together to support those actions that will enhance the small town atmosphere and quality of life that is prized by current residents and visitors alike. The outcome will be a pleasant environment for living, working, recreation, and shopping, with enhancement of existing village centers and commercial areas. We will take those actions necessary to provide for the appropriate use of land and a variety of housing types, residential densities, and neighborhoods in order to maintain social diversity. All actions will be consistent with the carrying capacity of Harwich's natural environment, the Cape Cod Commission's regional policy plan, and the ability to support the required infrastructure. It's a good one. It's not, that's
Carrying capacity.
2000. What did you like and not like in 2000? Mary's got something to say. No,
I wanted to say
because I
something.
saw your lips starting to move. Yes.
I came across this vision statement a few months ago, and this one in the current community seemed to resonate
Right.
more with the current population.
Right. I mean, things that we've deliberated on here in the last 18 months is, environment, people, social diversity, very aware of how
Living, working.
Harwich makes its money, of current residents and visitors alike. Pleasant environment we could probably do better with, maybe
Yeah.
healthy environment, or healthy might be good, because if some of our older 60 crowd in our survey, a lot of pings about healthcare.
I think you could.
It's my jam, so
I think
go ahead, David.
The 2000 Harwich and the Cape Cod Regional Policy Plan, at least the first parts of it, I really liked the fact that they highlight the fact that the place we love so much is what we're also threatening. I mean, it's a good,
Right.
so those two combined with a little bit of Brian's making sure we emphasize the people enough, I think with those three pieces, we could probably come up with something.
Should we read 2011? Does someone else want to
No.
read 2011 that we do? No, just what we don't like. No,
David says hard
contrast is good, David. I know, but does someone want to
I'll
read?
read it for you so I can read it right into his ear.
Thank you, Bernadette. You read 2011.
Make sure I'm on the mic because I couldn't hear people at the last meeting.
Read 2011. Maybe
We,
what
the
we don't
people
like.
of Harwich, have come together to create this vision statement for the 2011 Local Comprehensive Plan, which will direct the energies of the town's employees, volunteers, and elected officials for the next 5 years. Our vision has efficient and effective delivery of town services as the top priority. It directs us to optimize the economic potential of all town-owned assets. Safety and security for all is paramount. We must have a superlative educational system for our students and rewarding activities for our seniors. We cannot fail to recognize, protect, and enhance the vitality of our cultural, recreational, and natural assets that are so essential to our residents, non-resident taxpayers, and seasonal guests alike. To be effective, Harwich must be supported at the county, state, and federal levels. Harwich officials are charged with ensuring that the town receives fair and equitable treatment and with pursuing legislative remedies when needed. Pursuit of this vision pays homage to our unique coastal environment and vibrant New England traditions of independence and self-determination.
Good sentence.
Independence, but we want the state.
It's not. I mean, I think there are some things that we're like
Here,
less
a lot of
priorities,
mentions.
right?
Parts of the second paragraph, otherwise.
But I mean, so school, right?
The last line was great, but I didn't really see a lot in the stuff above it that pointed to that.
I have to say, it was nicer when Bernadette read it than when I read it myself.
I know. So the first one maybe. So what does the second one
Yeah.
have that the first one is missing? The second one has. So I think safety or those are less issues right now, but the
Safety and security can be defined by things like, I have a safe place
that's
to
true.
live,
That's
I like
housing.
this
Yep.
board,
No, but the
Yeah, so
thing.
it doesn't need to be said.
The thing about the education and the seniors, we could probably lift that
Yep,
sentence.
it calls them out specific, which
Yep,
is nice.
yep, that would probably be good. I think we're less,
Still
But
waiting.
there's that
I'm still
people in
waiting
the
for the
middle
town
of the
services
kids
to
and the
show up.
seniors that,
People.
yeah, right?
So, but we we kind of like the superlative educational
The ones that
system,
they aren't answering our survey.
Enables you to be here.
our students and rewarding activities for our senior.
We should take a couple things out of this and put it back in the 2000s.
It's a little bummer. I mean, they get the culture,
I will say
but
there's a-
natural assets is listed a little low.
There's some things called out in there that I feel like, I mean, the school system's pretty dang good.
Yeah.
You know, like there's
Yeah.
some things that I feel like were in that plan, and
We've
even going
achieved
back to
that.
2000, I'm like, hey, you kind of hit some of those.
Yeah,
You know
school,
what I mean?
and
Thank you.
to be fair, absolutely, to have a sense of where we may reference this document because it's been less on because it maybe includes less of our scope of work, but some in the community, town government is a issue, and that has not been in our scope, so as much, but
Yeah, I think it's also interesting that it calls out residents, non-resident taxpayers, and seasonal guests. That it speaks to
Yeah.
three different important constituencies.
symbiotic organisms here,
You know,
yeah.
that you don't necessarily always think of calling out specifically.
I'm curious, David, there's a spot in there where we talk about the dependency of the county, state, and federal levels to get this stuff done. What was the thought process in putting that in there? Is that
I don't
just,
think it matters. No, seriously,
I
I
don't know if it was
don't
like
think
a-
it's anything we should be spending our time on, because it's not central to what we need to be doing.
No, I
Well, I don't
agree.
think we
I'm
need to
curious
put
about
that
why it was such an
I
important
didn't
thing
know
to
if that was
mention it.
like
I
at the
don't
time, I didn't know
remember.
if there wasn't a lot of buy-in.
We don't disagree with it, like a little historical context for, maybe?
So when people with a focus on the Taxpayers Alliance
Got it.
and the fact that them out there are treating us badly, when they get to write a plan,
Yeah.
So it was more about like, what are our taxes and
Well,
Sort
there's
of-
also, in view of what at that time was starting to come at us, which was the enormous cost of the
Wastewater.
Environmental Protection Agency required wastewater improvement, which
yeah.
that group saw it as imposition that the federal government,
Force this on us, you
state
can't.
government were putting on us, and they damn well ought to money up to help us pay
Yeah,
for it.
that's good.
And if you look at this, that really is the overarching issue in this whole statement is, as far as all the monies that we require is because of all the wastewater stuff. And town services
and
of
not totally without, but
Right,
not
yeah.
our focus,
Well,
but,
the independence thing is, that's why we don't like being told what to do.
yeah, okay, all right, so that's,
I'm not sure that's a vision statement.
right, okay, we can, but no, I mean, a document is always a product of its time, so it's like
Yeah.
helpful for us to know.
Right, and that's where the mindset was, and that's what the issues were in town was,
I was trying
where's
to
all
think
this
of-
money gonna come
I
from?
was trying to think of what I was doing in 2000, yeah, right, yeah.
2011, you probably
Yeah,
were.
I was a resident, yeah.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah, you were.
deeply in that, so,
So,
yes.
I mean, and
I was,
realistically,
yeah,
if you think
surgery
about it,
resident.
what is the biggest issue on the Cape right now? It's workforce, it's housing, et cetera, and that's what we're concentrating on, kind of like these guys
Yeah,
concentrated on the wastewater and all the economic issues
Yeah.
associated with that, so.
Same token, when I'm looking at the Plan 2000, I'm not sure that last sentence is a vision statement. It looks like it's more of a strategy, that all actions will be consistent with the carrying capacity of Harwich's natural environment,
That shouldn't be
the
in there.
Cape Cod Commission's regional policy plan, the ability to support the required infrastructure. To me, those are more strategy.
Oh, I disagree.
No, that's a
I
vision
really
for what you
disagree.
want.
Oh,
I think
good,
that's
hearty
fun-
discussion, go
I
ahead.
think it's fundamental.
To the vision.
Yeah.
Is it to get the nod from the Cape Cod Commission so we're certified?
No, not so much the nod from the Cape Cod Commission, but the notion that we plan our growth and our future based on the carrying capacity of both the natural environment and the infrastructure that we have. That is fundamental.
Okay.
It's like a value is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We should start.
Well, so are we constrained by it,
The reality is we
or I
can't.
guess, so I'm not sure I understand how that, I mean,
I think it's a fundamental planning principle that you want your growth to be related to and supported by what the environmental constraints are and what the infrastructure is available. In other words, you want your land use to reflect what the town can support, both, in terms of physical infrastructure,
Yeah.
wastewater.
I hear you.
And I
I think
disagree with you.
what Brian is asking, and this is like good, deliberation in our remaining few minutes as we kind of chew on these ideas. I hear you. I wonder, is that discreetly definable? So like there's debate often, say, like on a certain project in town, what the environmental impact is and how you measure it, and so is that kind of what you're asking?
Well,
or
well, I think of it more as
it's not an either or necessarily, or
I think of it as a planning, it's a key parameter, it's a constraint, it's a way in which you go about to establish the plan. It's critically important. I'm not questioning that part of it. I just don't see it as part of the overarching vision. To me, it's a key strategic element of creating the plan.
But they're saying like we have a wish list, but the wish list is not attainable because of the constraints we have from a natural environment or from a infrastructure built environment. I mean, we can want all these all these affordable houses and everything, but all of a sudden, if we're not going to have wastewater to that area for 10 to 15 years, then it's probably
It's
not
true with
attainable.
capital funding, it's true with a lot of
I think,
Right.
resource. Yeah.
I think to everyone's point, is from a vision standpoint, you don't want to really put constraints on a vision. Like, that's the happy path.
Right.
That's where you want to go.
That's my.
Like, in like, hey, pie in the sky, this is what I can achieve.
Right.
Now, you might, in the moment in time, have constraints, i.e. we're dealing with wastewater and budgeting issues and the EPA at that time. Now we're dealing with housing and development issues, and but as technology in the society moves forward, there's going to be moments in time where we can leverage new technology that will actually completely knock that constraint out. Like, we're talking about the innovative alternatives that the DEP is trying to push down on us, right? If we don't get sewer in by a certain time frame, right? But you can essentially limit the nitrogen load into the environment down to 95%.
so.
to
But
zero.
I think kind of you're
Right.
both kind of saying the same thing. Is that like
That's okay.
the value in that? The value in it is that I know Marcos. The value is that I'm reducing this to, but the value in the vision statement is that the environment is important, right? And the environment is important in planning, and that's the. You're both saying it in a different way.
Apart from
Yeah.
the commission's statement that you liked, which was saying, the very resources that are the attraction that bring people to Cape Cod are threatened by that growth.
And when you say that, it's true about the people too, because the very thing that we all say that our town is saying that we value the people are threatened by the growth, right? So it applies to, that's I think a good theme that we're getting out of this is both the environment, the people. Yeah.
So maybe it's.
Bernadette has her hand up and then Ed.
I like as a skeleton to hang everything on our 2000 vision and again, like Garrett said, it's a pie in the sky. This is a vision. We know it's not a mission statement, and we know it's not maybe the reality we're living in. I just wanted to say, though, the second to last sentence, I really, really loved that, the way they phrased, we will take those actions necessary to provide for the appropriate use of land and a variety of housing types, residential densities, and neighborhoods in order to maintain social diversity. I know the horse may have already left the barn, and we can only hope that with new things that come down the road, maybe we can get it back, maybe.
We have to try.
But I
Yeah.
love the way, that says what we hope for. That's
Right.
a vision.
Right. It's a great sentence.
I'd almost want to steal that verbatim and fit it in
Nice.
somewhere.
Nice. No, it's a great sentence, and it encompasses a lot of
A
the
lot of what we hear from people.
depth
that they
of our
need.
deliberation and what people are telling us. Go ahead, Brian.
In the spirit of negotiation. Could we have a paragraph, first paragraph, that's the pie in the sky. And then the second paragraph, which adds those, critical planning constraints.
It might include both. You can have your
yeah.
more vision-y statement, and then you have Margot's.
Then you have your growth policy, reality.
I don't see those as the same thing.
No.
When they said
Mary, go ahead.
Growth policy, I was like, wait a minute.
Is the local comprehensive plan going to have a strategic planning section There's a strategic plan that is associated with a local comprehensive plan. The strategic planning that you were talking about, so that you can actually differentiate between the vision. One of the things in looking at both of these vision statements from 2000 to 2011, everyone was able to identify that was the period then, that was the period then. Vision statements don't have constraints. They are sustainable to say this is the open-ended point to where we're going, because it's a long-term document. Local comprehensive plans are in place for a number of years, and this is what we're moving towards. That's what a vision statement defines, what we're moving towards, not what we have to work with.
Or what we hope to move towards.
We're moving
Right.
towards, because yes,
Yeah.
what life is variable, and
Right.
we may not have the resources now, but life goes on, it continues, and it has to be open-ended. It has to be, this is where we're going, by how everybody wants to see that. And we're going to work with, we have the resources in place to do some, but we're going to continue and do things to work towards that open-ended, sustainable statement that we composed. That's what I'm thinking of.
Right,
Well, I
right.
think the first one is more that
Yeah.
way than the second one, although to your point, they both tell you where we were, but I think back in 2000, they were doing it more the way you're describing.
And there are, again, with local comprehensive plans, they do have a subset of strategic planning that's directly related to budgets, so that budgets can be directed back towards the community by saying, for the strategic plan, this is how we're going to accomplish that statement or that everything, and then the expenditures swing back to those strategic planning points right there. So that was just an open-ended question, if you have.
I think
that.
Ed had a comment too.
Well, yeah.
Yep.
Back to I can't even remember now which one it was.
Oh,
coming from,
the
but-
2000 was the kind of gentler, kinder. 2011 was the live free or die one.
but
Yeah.
The issue about the sort of environmental constraints, and then the talk about consistent with the regional policy plan, and I don't really see that as being a constraint, but more an understanding that, although we are Harwich, and we
Part of.
each of us towns, each of the towns on the Cape have their own personality, which is true, but there's a certain consistency that we need to maintain.
Because we're all on the same
Make it
sandbar.
all go together, because,
Yep.
God forbid you want Yarmouth to start trying
Yeah.
to develop
Right.
resort
Right.
developments that have
Right.
20-story towers in it,
Sharon, bring us on home. What else do we need to accomplish, or Christine?
This has been a great discussion, really, really good, good first effort, good start. I took a lot of notes. All I was going to add was where you were going with sort of the second part of it is that growth policy, which, so it is a balancing act between the environment and, the growth and the infrastructure. So I think we have a lot that we can work with to start to craft something and come
Okay.
back next time with, a draft for more discussion. And that kind of is how the process works, like iterative. Yeah.
If you go back to the sandwich example, it's fairly concise. You got the first part as a vision statement. The second paragraph or second part is headlined sandwich growth policy.
Right.
That would accomplish what Brian, I think, was getting at.
What I gathered
Okay.
from the conversation.
So for our actionables, kind of just so we're kind of the pre-agenda for January, which you all got the dates for our whole year, by the way.
Put them in the calendar.
We're signed up.
Very efficient, very well.
Yeah, we're signed up. I think we were able to then maybe generate a little bit of a draft for us to work on before. So the first paragraph being more of a vision statement. We're inspired by 2000 with some small themes from 2011. And then the growth policy is kind of bringing in some of the more particulars that are very value driven, which I get that. It's, I think we appreciate that as a committee. We could revise it in January, right? Work
Absolutely.
on it. We have we have our 4 visioning workshops kind of thought out that T&B will help us with, the 5th for the summer. Mary's going to help us with it. I'll help you too, with it for sure, with the dates and rooms. I think, Brian, do you feel satisfied that I know you're going to want more granular about how these workshops are going to run, but we generally have a
I
concept.
think we have a better feel for it tonight.
Okay,
than-
I know you've been I really appreciate your strength on that, but yes, you feel like we're going in the right direction about that?
I do.
Okay,
I do.
good. About we're going to lead with our data, maybe our vision statement of some sort. Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
important.
No, that's why I'm not being facetious. I'm valuing that.
take it that
I'm valuing that input. And then with the breakout breakout working shops. To David's endpoint for January, we're going to need more deliberative time about what those small group within the big group, what our big pillars of deliberation might be. We're going to have to work on that.
And I'm happy to work with Mary if we want.
That'd be amazing.
Kind of lay out, this is my vision for the chevrons. What we get from here
Yep.
to the end.
Yep.
So that we can show all of our participants and every interaction.
Yes.
Here's where we are.
Yep.
Here's where we're gonna need you. So
Nice.
don't think this is, you're done.
Don't go away.
Don't
And
go away.
we've accomplished that, and Garrett, thank you for taking the lead, and, I'm sure Christine her being inside will be able to help too in terms of getting more on the website, and to Mary's
And I'll connect with Mary too.
good point about the marketing and,
We'll get up on them.
yeah.
And I do like David's point about after we do the workshop and we do the
Mm.
breakout, that we go back to our constituent groups.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've struggled with, okay, how do I tell business group
Yep.
when I'm coming back to them?
Yeah.
'Cause we sort of stumbled through
Yep.
how we're interacting with these groups.
And-
And now I think we all have a better picture of how those interactions are gonna go.
In the meantime, getting all the word out.
Yeah. Oh, I'll send a note to Michael. Remember how he sent that note out?
Please.
He got in touch with me.
Nice.
And asked me to send him the link, so I.
Nice.
Good.
Nice.
And I sent it to Cindy.
And I'm like working so hard on the school system, but yes, working on
And
it.
we need to continue meeting with our,
Yes, keep socializing, so to speak.
One comment, I did meet
Please,
with
David.
the health director.
Oh,
Very interesting. Her biggest issue is housing. I go to the health department, I expect different answers.
and you want different pillars to
She's got me-
deliberate on.
She's got me set up to go to the health board later this month.
Awesome.
If anybody wants to go. I put my comments on our webs.
Our Google Drive,
But
yeah.
that page that we're supposed to record our stuff on
Yes.
isn't being used.
We can use it more.
There was one summary sheet you had.
Could I tag you for, I may have to do it, but could you at least take the lead on it we need to send out the Google Drive link again to everyone because because I know it's,
Using things, and I thought I knew how to use it.
I understand. So just conceptually, and we'll close up with this, unless the town gives us something better to do, which I'm happy, but in the meantime, this works. It's a Google Drive that's like mine. It's a cloud-based space. You all can edit it, but you have to go in through one link, and you can poke around, you can move it around. It's a little bit messy, but there's a little bit logic to it.
It's a lot. That's why
David,
it's a lot.
feel free to tidy, David, if you want. No. But that's what we got. Like the equivalent in the workspace. There's a lot of others. There's Microsoft Teams. There's lots of other ways, but this is just our freeware version of doing this. So Garrett will help me redistribute it. Thank you.
And I also did send the link out to our clergy.
The survey link is what you're talking about. Thank you. So many links.
I
Thank
think
you.
they're kind of busy this month.
Yes, that's why we keep working on them.
Funny thing about
Anything else we missed?
Just one.
Please, Margot. Yes.
Christina and I are both, as I told you last month, there's a group that's working on the open space and recreation
Yeah.
plan. up
Yeah,
there,
please.
And we're both involved in that.
You're our representative to that.
Yes,
Right.
I am
Thank
a
you.
representative for this committee and for real estate and open space. And that group has been tasked by the consultant with, it's mostly town department heads. Mike Locke and I are really the only ones who are not town department heads. But kind of broken into subcommittees
yeah,
to,
yeah.
to work on different, updating of different pieces of that plan. And they are also planning to do some kind of a survey and some public meetings, at least one public meeting sometime probably in the spring.
So do you think, maybe just for public engagement fatigue, to avoid that, if you could, they can have all our data always, and remember, we included a lot of those questions were aimed, at hitting those metrics, like what do you think, there are a lot of rec questions in there, so they can always have that, we always want to share. And if there's a way to not conflict about that, because we don't want to confuse
Well, we briefly.
our 12,000 residents, or however, 13, 12, 5 or whatever, yeah.
Yeah, she's trying to, it's Erica.
Yes,
the Same
yes.
person, so which
Awesome.
is great because
Yes,
she has
awesome.
the LCP survey, and
Yes.
she and I have been talking about that as well, and she's looking at, not duplicating and not having,
Maybe, to David's
Yeah.
point, maybe in our big group sessions, rec could be a breakout.
that's what I was thinking, you could kind of.
Awesome. So they don't have to, if it's, because it's the same, right? So, housing, rec, we could do that. Yes, David, or yes, Ed, sorry.
Another group that I'm in, somehow years ago I got involved in is the YMCA, the
Yeah.
Bay Planning Group.
Is that like after-school stuff or Brewster?
Well, it's
All of it?
first, it's all of it.
Okay.
And they were, I told them we were doing this survey and they're interested in seeing the results.
Yeah.
And also, I sent them a copy of it to circulate to
Yeah.
our people.
Share with everyone. Just so you like a local town factoid, the after-school program run through the elementary school is like the contractor, so to speak, is the YMCA. So different, the YMCA of Cape Cod, and they run that. There are a couple in town, but that one, which is at the school after, which families pay for, is the vendor, so to speak, is the YMCA. Another alternative is the Pilgrim Congregational Church in Harwich Port also runs a very beloved after-school care program, which actually was mentioned a lot in our survey. People spontaneously mentioned that. And the Brewster thing, right, is what I'm referencing is that there's correct me if I'm speaking out of turn, but with Brewster's big acquisition of the bayfront property, there is potentially exploring like a Outer Cape YMCA site at that, right? Am I saying anything out of turn? I don't think so. No, okay.
They've been looking for a site for many years.
Right.
And trying to define what it would contain and all. Because
This affects our Harwich youth because Harwich residents, because there's a lot of to your point that Cape Cod is Cape Cod, not only just Harwich, but yeah.
And also the other after-school or daycare effort they're going to be doing is, the little house as you enter the tech school.
Yes,
They're gonna
great
be-
point.
They're going to be setting up an after-school
After school or preschool?
preschool, I think.
Yeah.
I'm not
Different.
exactly sure
Okay. Yeah. Sure.
there, but,
Because I think that's
it all
the
got started because for people in this area, if you want to do daily swimming, you drive to Barnstable
Yes.
or you drive to Eastham.
Yes.
And
yes, which it was Ed's really wisdom of we do have a little sleeper question about a swim thing.
Hasn't done so well so far in the responses.
There was controversy. Final point, and then we're right on time. Go ahead, Barbara.
Yeah, we were talking about getting this in the Chronicle. Do we
Yes.
know what the status of that is?
I have emailed a lot. If anyone wants to work there,
I'll talk.
Please.
Yeah, I'll talk to Tim and.
Yeah.
and-
yeah.
See Bill Friday night, no.
Our last coverage was when I presented at the Board of Selectmen, but
Right, I just
The
wanted to
presses.
get, because all of a sudden it's gonna be
Yeah,
after Christmas,
Yeah,
et
they
cetera.
should.
we
They
could
should be
probably
good.
get,
Yeah, I
I'll
think
get him to do an article on the on the survey
Yeah.
and provide a.
Right, that's the main thing, get
Publish
the
the
word of the
link.
survey out.
As if they'll put the link in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, publish the link, et cetera. Okay.
With that, thank you for a very productive meeting. I hope everyone has a wonderful holiday.
You too.
I want you to know that I've got an ornament on my plant. It's a spider.
Oh, cool. It's very, there's no mistakes. A little environmental
Yeah, you're a big environmental.
robustness for you, Margaret. They like a little bit of light, a little bit of water. Thank you. I'm so appreciative for all you, and Happy New Year.
Anyway,
Let's see.
and for,
Motion to adjourn, Madam
All right.
Chair?
Yeah, thank you.
Yes. Motion to adjourn.
Bernie?
Any deliberation? All right, all in favor?
I have a plant
Adjourning.
identification app, and it's
Oh.
a polka dotted something. I forget
Yeah.